everybody. Welcome to GeekStorm. I'm Sean Hilton, owner of Comics Cube, founded the Kokomo Con, and currently in the middle of putting on the Comics Cube Excelsior Scholarship Fund, which will be coming up very shortly as seniors begin to graduate from high school and move on to their college careers. Today I am joined by the often behind-the-scenes producer, Michael Dukes. Today we're going to talk about some Swamp Thing, some comic books. We're not going to talk much about Avengers yet. In fact, we'll just kick off with the Avengers Endgame non-spoiler review is Holy Crap. And there is no end credit. I don't know if that's a spoiler or not. I've discussed with Harrison whether telling people there's a spoiler or there's no end credit is a spoiler or not, but there's nothing there. So as far as I'm concerned, that's not a spoiler. I'm doing you a favor. If you get bent out of shape that you sat through 10 to 15 minutes of credits to find out there wasn't something there, I think I'd rather somebody do me the favor and go, hey, there's nothing there except a strange noise that doesn't pay off in any relevant way, even as a hardcore fan. So,
didn't they, for the main, I think the main 6 actors, when the credits rolled, instead of just printed whatever, actually had.
There is during what would be your mid-credit scene before you get to the actual credits of just words scrolling. You know, when they do the whole big name thing. Yes, there is a little like thing with them, you know, acknowledging the stars, but that has nothing to do with the movie. That's just a credit thing. So if you want to stick around for everything that's cool and worth seeing, by the time you see the first name, you know, of the little scroll go up with starring and then, you know, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, leave at that point, because there is nothing but, again, some light clanging in the background at the very, very end that, again, doesn't actually have really anything to do with anything. So, yeah, great movie. Check it out. We will be talking about it in-depth, spoilery, next week. We'll give you a week. After that, well, by that point, you could have illegally downloaded and watched it. Not that we encourage that sort of behavior, but you could have done it by now. Meanwhile, we just want to make a quick thing about Fox 59 destroying the season finale, the series finale of Gotham. Is it just called Gotham? Gotham, by putting up a tornado warning and possibly saving the lives of people who didn't die because of the possible tornado.
No.
Oh, no. What do we got?
Not a tornado warning. The tornado warning had already been in effect.
Okay.
I think it was a watch, actually. No, this was, instead of just scrolling across the bottom of the screen and saying, hey, tornado watch is off, you're okay. No. The Fox 59 meteorologist, he wanted some FaceTime.
Oh boy.
So they had to pop up, obscure the whole show, which was, by the way, the last part where you finally, at long last, after all this build-up of all these years, you get to see Batman. No, you don't. Because why? Because their meteorologist decided, I want to show you this and let you know, no tornado. And took up the entire, I guess, like 4-minute ending. So if you were to go to the Fox 59 website and look at the comments, you're going to find a lot of angry people.
All right, so let me just again to make it fully in here. We'd already been warned about the tornado. This was the guy telling us in the full screen, it's over now. You can go back to doing what you were doing.
Yeah.
Except we were already doing what we were doing. Wow! Holy cow!
So, you know, when you think about
somebody's job should be in danger.
Cable cord and go to streaming only or whatnot. That's a big reason why. Because, okay, tornadoes, yes, people should know about that.
Oh, absolutely. In this area,
we all have these little devices here that will warn us.
Alert.
I get warnings for like the slightest high wind.
I got 2 Amber Alerts yesterday that woke me up. Like actually woke me up.
So, I think it's just a matter of, I don't know, cable providers or network people just not realizing or not caring. So I remember back before the cutting days, that happened to me a few times. Yeah,
there's nothing you can do about it. Or heaven forbid the president have something to say, because he's gonna like take over the airwaves and go on and on for whatever. You know, and don't get me wrong, some of these things are important, some of them might not be as important. This in particular isn't just geek stuff though. It was like this show went on for 4 or 5 years. This was the series finale with the final payoff being a time jump so that we could see that kid finally be, well, actually, I'm sure it was a different actor probably, but you know, finally Batman. And instead we got a meteorologist telling us it's all good. You're really, you couldn't have done that in a crawl. Tornado warning expired. That's all. We don't need.
Thought so.
I think about it. Now, it's funny because we're talking to some friends about this who are highly upset. And then they also mentioned the Orville, which is a show I do watch because I didn't watch Gotham. And now that it's over, I might watch it. I might go back now and rewatch it now that it has an ending.
I know a lot of people that really like it. So I don't know.
Yeah, it jumped a few too many things for me to the point where I had a hard time with it. And honestly, there's so many shows on now that
I'm so behind. It's not even funny.
But they also mentioned it had impacted the Orville as well, I guess. And I do watch the Orville, except I watch it on a streaming service. Because one of my complaints is, even if they don't interrupt, and you have the best possibility of the program you could with no fuzz, your TV is great, you're still going to have a bunch of commercials which go X amount of time. You're still going to have the Fox logo or some crap in a corner, possibly two corners with crap, with a Fox logo and an upcoming show. There's a possibility of a crawl during any episode for any reason. Funny enough, when I watched it on Hulu, it's a clean screen. I don't have to worry about anybody interrupting anything. And the only thing is the version I have has commercials. But the commercials are limited to 90 seconds, I think, is the largest amount of commercials I get. And there's actually a little timer in the corner that tells me how much longer this commercial is. Whereas if it was standard television, those commercials are going to be anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, and you have no idea. So if you decide, okay, I need to go run to the bathroom,
yeah,
to eat, you have no idea when exactly. It could be a short commercial break, it could be a long one.
Yeah.
You're in the kitchen making a sandwich, and all of a sudden you hear your show come back on.
Yeah, we watch Orville and Rookie and 4 or 5 other programs fairly regularly using Hulu. And I'm sorry, but for me, one of the major reasons was, Bob's Burgers, because of all the crap that all of the channels now put on the screen. I don't want to see that. I want to see the show. If you're the creator of the show and you didn't put it on the screen, I don't want to see it. And by using a cable streaming channel and I think the Hulu's like $5 a month or something.
$5 or $10.
And I think you can get it without commercials even for like $10. So, your choice, which your flavor is going to be. Now, talking about some of the extra cost channels, we've got the DC Warner Brothers channel.
I plan on getting that within the next month, and then come November, Disney Plus has got me.
Well, Disney Plus, definitely, but DC's Warner Brothers channel now has me a little worried. They just showed a teaser kind of trailer for the Swamp Thing television show. On the same day, they announced that it was 13 episodes had been slashed to 10 episodes, knowing that these shorter shows with these cable kind of things have story arcs and things built in so that they almost always have either closure or a big key moment at the end that it all leads up to take you into an intended next season. You're cutting out almost, a quarter by losing these 3 episodes of this show, which means that, one, a bunch of episodes already had to be filmed and in the can, I would think. So either reshoots are going to have to be done to get this thing to line up with these 3 less episodes, or the 1 or 2 episodes that haven't been filmed are going to have to be condensed and squashed into a mold that will make it somehow work with 3 less episodes, with only a 10-episode run.
They don't shoot them in order.
True, some.
So
I mean,
it could be filler episodes that got yanked, not...
Could be, but with only 13 episodes, I don't know there would be that much filler. If you look at something like Umbrella Academy, I don't know what episode you would have pulled out of that to make something like that work. Now, when we look at CW or Gotham, where you've got a 22 to 24 episode season, yes, those things are filled with filler an episode of the week. But once you get down to these smaller numbers, usually they're pretty condensed.
Do you know how many episodes Titans had?
I don't. I have not. It's funny, owning a comic book store, have not got that channel yet. But if they're already pulling stuff like this, it makes me wonder how well the channel's actually doing. And now with the announcement of the Disney one, I'm like, at some point I'm going to get the DC one just to check it out, if nothing else for a month or two, to catch up on all those original programs. But this doesn't, as somebody who's looking at the long term, doesn't make me feel very comfortable with the ground that they're on. Whereas Disney's like, we're doing this, this, and this, and here's the price point. And I know that they've got the money and the talent and the ability to go the long term and be like, you know what, we can lose some money on this if it really came down to it for the long term to grow it.
Well, you've got a bigger draw too, because the DC is DC.
Yep.
It's not all of Warner Brothers, material, which would be vast. It's just DC comic stuff. Whereas Disney has all the Disney movies. Now they have the entire Fox library they just bought, plus your Marvel, plus your Star Wars. That's a lot more content than just DC.
Yeah, that is pretty specific branded. And then, so with the Swamp Thing, they did a reveal. Now there's been two. There was, when they first announced this with the episodes going from 13 to 10, they just had kind of a thing of Swamp Thing coming out of a swamp, and you saw him from like a bust, shoulders up kind of thing. And he looked pretty cool. But, I mean, he's a muck monster, so I don't really know, whatever. Now they've put out what would be like a teaser kind of trailer. And
definite horror movie vibe.
But a generic, non-focused horror movie. I watched it, and I'm like, all right, watched it at the store with a couple other customers. We're excited, and I'm like, the entire time. And maybe it just caught me on the wrong day, but I don't think so.
It didn't.
There was nothing that screamed anything about Swamp Thing.
Yeah, it didn't really tell you anything about what you're going to be seeing. There was no hints at a story. It was just really
Bayou horror movie is what I saw. The little fan boats or tiny little bayou kind of boats and Everglade kind of a feel and swamp stuff with a horror movie attached to it. And then very little of anything else. And when you're already announcing the cut, you really need to come up with something to wow us. And this, as far as I'm concerned, just did not cut it. Now, I am hearing rave reviews from people who went into the Titans TV show were and by the time it was done, they were in love with it. And now I'm hearing the exact same thing about Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
People are raving about and loving Doom Patrol. So, there's two really good ones in the belt.
And another thing, Manny is a big Doom Patrol fan now. I guess it's not family friendly.
No, probably not. No,
So
the
again,
stuff it was
that's
based
another
on.
difference between the DC stuff versus over at Disney. You're guaranteed family-friendly material for the most part.
We'll see.
No nudity or anything in any Marvel movies. Whereas I guess
No, doubt it.
this other one,
Oh, Doom Patrol?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Interesting.
cursing, nudity.
So there's a little adult stuff in it. So there you go. There's a little thing about Warner Brothers and a Swamp Thing.
we forgot.
What's that?
We forgot something.
What's that?
Our beginning death.
Oh, who's dead?
Lorraine Warren.
Is she the Exorcist chick?
Yes.
The Demonologist?
There you go. Yeah.
So I think we've talked about this before. I read that book back when I was in there was a book called The Demonologist. It was a hardback. I got it from the library, and I was in 4th or 5th grade. And great book for a 4th or 5th grader. Basically, it was horror stories, monster, haunted house kind of stuff, but mixed in with enough real world stuff that was really creepy. So I enjoyed it. So she died. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Because her husband's been passed away quite some time. So maybe this will end some of the controversy because I guess they've been popping up as characters in the movies.
Well, the Conjuring movies, yeah, it was about them.
Yeah, that's weird.
Now they've created an entire Conjuring universe with, Conjuring 1 through 3, Annabelle, The Nun, La Llosa, all of them are combined in the same world.
Haven't seen any of them. I said I read the books when I was when I was a child and found them wildly engrossing. Enjoyed the heck out of them, but as an adult, I'm just like, eh. The guy who actually ghost wrote their first couple of books, or at least that I think the one that I read, has come out and said it was all crap and just crapped all over it, and is suing them or something because basically they gave him some information about whatever, and then he turned it into the stories. Those are the stories now that are like turning into these movies. He's not getting paid for that, and the studio's claiming, well, this is their real life, and he's like, all right, that's cool. And then so his lawyer is like, now show us a ghost. We'll drop all the charges. You prove to the world that ghosts really exist, which is what you're saying is the case here, and we'll walk away and not get paid billions of dollars, millions of dollars. But so yeah, it's a little weird. But I mean, death of anybody's sad. It didn't. I honestly, that somehow slipped under my radar. I'm a little surprised. I would have thought her death would have popped up. But
I follow a bunch of paranormal stuff on Facebook.
How do we know she's really dead?
So it just kept, for a couple of days, kept popping up.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I did not know that. Boys. The Boys by Garth Ennis. Have you seen the Red Band trailers for this?
Yeah.
Cool.
I cannot wait for this.
So this will be another television series. Can we even call them television series at this point? It's a series on Prime. So I guess it's a television series. You'll watch it on television. It's a series. It's superhero related. From Garth Ennis. And those who don't know Garth's work, he's very much he's a Red Band writer. The stuff he writes is always typically adult and not suitable for children of any kind. And The Boys is no different. Arriving on July 26th on Amazon Prime. Luckily, I'm a member, so I get to see this right off the bat. Starring everybody's favorite Judge Dredd, Carl Urban, not Sylvester Stallone, and we can also discuss his McCoy. But he will be leading The Boys. The idea behind The Boys is that the real world has superheroes in it. And in fact, there is a Justice League Avengers kind of team that's referred to as the Seven, because there are 7 members. But what happens when you have an incredible, and these are almost Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman kind of pastiches that are being done, Aquaman, Flash. It definitely feels like the Justice League being done in a parody fashion, but the parody fashion being nearly X-rated. So what happens when you have these guys and they're a little out of control or a lot out of control? Who reins them in? They're seen as gods by normal people. There's action figures, there's cereal, there's all this other stuff. But what happens when Superman's like, what are you going to do?
Well, think about how many Hollywood stars that we had that people, idolize, look up to, and then...
Just dirtbags?
Yeah.
Run over a group of nuns in the parking lot and get a lawyer and
run over people, or they slap their wife around, or whatever,
or their husband around at this point.
Yes. But if you've got super abilities,
and
add that on top of it, who's going to stop you?
The Boys. That's what the whole premise is about, is that this group is brought together of normal people and how they're going to police or deal or get vengeance upon the 7 who do horrible, horrible things. There's no limit to what they're capable of doing, so nobody can keep them in check, but the PR and the government, because they're useful, are constantly hiding or derailing that stuff. So like I pointed out, when you see him on the show, he zips around and does all that stuff, except if someone were really going that fast and clips the side of your car, that's a dead family. And then that car would cascade into oncoming traffic. So not only is, by the time it's all said and done and Flash is run, 7 people are dead, there's $100,000 worth of damage, and traffic was tied up for 3 or 4 hours. So, that's kind of what this thing is doing. When Superman uses his cold breath for something and, indiscriminately freezes an entire city park, well, what happens? What's the reality of what some of these events occur? And so that's what this will be about. And again, I expect very harsh language. I expect some nudity. I expect some sexual situations. One of the things in the Red Band trailer shows that. And honestly, we can't even describe it here as bad as it is. So, yeah, that's pretty crazy. But I love Carl Urban.
Yeah.
Almost everything he's in. And in this, he's kind of playing a jaded, ticked off character that's sarcastic and should be fairly witty. So
I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
should be really, really good. So, and then the books are available still. So if you want to check them out, but again, these are like hard R comic books. So, keep that in mind. Oh man, I got a whole little list of stuff.
Look at you, little Mike Harrison.
Well, this I won't lie. Without being able to talk about Avengers, I was like, I don't know what else is going on this week that you'd really talk about. Salem's Lot is being remade again, and this time we've got a writer by the name of Gary Dauberman, and he has written It, The Nun, which I think takes place in your Conjuring universe, as well as was working on some of the Swamp Thing that just got axed. So he's pretty talented. I think he directed one of the Annabelle things, maybe even Annabelle's not out yet, something called Annabelle Comes Home. So I believe he was the director of that. So not only is he a writer, but he's got a little bit of directing under his belt. Salem's Lot is, I believe, Stephen King's probably his second novel. Yeah, I think Shining was probably number one. Salem's Lot was number two, I believe.
Yeah.
And there was magazine articles and other things of that before that, but in his, his library of stuff, I believe it's number two. So it's a beloved book from like 1975. I want to say 1979 gave us a TV movie adaptation of it.
This is going to be the first time it's going to actually be on a big screen.
Yeah.
We've had two just on TV.
Miniseries. And because those were television miniseries that weren't on Prime or whatever, they had to play up a much more subtle, quiet horror, that building of tension back when we had the patience to sit through that. Now we'll be able to have an R-rated gore fest, Salem's Lot. So we'll see how it all pans out.
I loved it. So,
man, that was good. That was well done. And not much news on the sequel.
Every once in a while,
I mean, they did casting, I believe.
will pop up, but yeah, I haven't heard.
So
I would think it'd be coming out this fall.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, geez, the Stephen King channel is probably on its way. Who knows? The amount of information that he's got to share with the public, it's pretty nutty. That guy
Did you see the
prolific.
Gemini trailer?
I did. That played in yesterday's Avengers. Non-spoiler. I really was not impressed with the trailers. For such a big movie, I expected to see new trailers, big, like blockbuster trailers, and or big new scene trailers. I think we got Men in Black with some new material in it that was interesting, but you're either interested in Men in Black or not. I don't think a trailer at this point is going to change your mind. You did see the Dark Phoenix trailer, the newer one that makes it look a lot better. But you're also showing that on a movie that just took 21 movies to get to a final payoff that felt like it was worth it. And you're going to try to do the Dark Phoenix in two movies. Well, really one movie, but you introduced the character of the last movie. And that just shows me there that Fox doesn't have the hindsight or the wherewithal to do the long game well enough to pull off a major storyline like that, because Dark Phoenix, I don't know about 21 movies, but 3 or 4, the bare minimum, to pull that off correctly, I think, and make it feel right. And in today's day and age with some of these superhero epics, and I'm superhero, I mean, fans were willing to sit through Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, there are Harry Potter. I mean, there are a numerous number of franchises now that are showing that fans are willing to invest a decade or more of their life into a movie franchise for a good payoff. And Fox with the X-Men, I joked while they showed the preview in the thing, well, you killed the last franchise with Dark Phoenix, you might as well do it again. Luckily, this one time it's been bought out. And then Gemini Man was one of the trailers that also showed, so you get young Will Smith trying to kill old Will Smith, and
kind of a Looper kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, Looper's already kind of done that, and it just didn't blow me away.
Very underwhelmed.
So, especially for what should be, I just think Will has hit that that plateau in his career right now where he's going to need the next big thing to either bring him up, or he's going to have to do a Travolta and disappear and fall away for a while and then come out with something good. Because Aladdin also played trailer, and so we saw Gemini Man and we saw Aladdin, neither of which I believe are going to push Will Smith to a new level, plateau, or even a downer. Now, Disney's been a sure bet for a long time, but as far as I know, without going and looking up exact numbers, the Dumbo live action, I haven't heard anybody talking about this film. You know, I heard everybody talking about Beauty and the Beast and with the Maleficent movies, but when it comes to this Dumbo flick, this is the first, I think, live action where I've heard.
I haven't heard anything bad.
Well, nobody. Bad is one thing, at least then somebody would be talking about it. This is indifference, and I think indifference might even be worse than bad, because at least bad is, really, it's that bad? I want to see it just to see how bad it is. But zero noise, that can't be good. And so in Aladdin, the initial reactions that I'm hearing to people who saw the trailer, the couple, or the mom and the little girl that were sitting right next to us, leans over to her little girl right after that preview and goes, nothing's going to beat the original. So I'm like, wow, all right. So yeah, trailer-wise, very disappointed. And that, I mean, this is going to be probably the biggest moneymaker of the year. I don't see anybody beating this movie unless there's some weird breakout thing that happens, but honestly, the amount of money it's already made, I would imagine.
Come close will be The Rise of Skywalker.
Yes, but even then, with the backlash from that fan base of the last movie, I don't see it doing Avengers numbers. So no, yeah, I'm going to say it right here. Skywalker is not going to beat the Avengers box office, even if we let Skywalker run for 6 months. It's not going to beat these numbers. It's insane.
A different type of hurdle to go over, too. These 22 films that you had for Marvel, it's been 10 years. Star Wars has been 40.
Yes.
That's generations.
For 9?
Yeah.
This will be number 9?
Different generations, which is why there's such a disconnect between people who grew up with the prequels versus who grew up with the original trilogy versus who's growing up with this current trilogy. And you got a lot of butting of heads and trying to use this. They said this last movie is not just capping off this last trilogy, it's also tying off all 9 of these films.
So this is supposed to end the Star Wars that our childhood was about. This is it.
The story is ending with this, and that's going to be a tall order because you're trying to appease fans of all different ages and groups, and I do not envy them.
No, I mean the first 3 are classics that involved a lot of practical effects mixed with digital effects. Then you had the prequels, which became the CGI horror story of bad writing and bad plotting and things and horrible dialogue. But that was some kids' first Star Wars, and they love it, and that's absolutely fine. But as an adult who saw it, I'm just like, it's just not a very good film overall. And then with these the last 2, I've been a little torn. I think they're better than the prequels, but they're still not blowing me away by any stretch of the imagination. So
I'm over here doing this for an episode.
Yeah, but money-wise, it's not going to touch Avengers. Avengers is going to set a whole new level for an initial 3 weeks. Fastest to $1 billion we'll ever see. In fact, there's talk that like 6 days or something like that. It's going to be really close after just a weekend. If you're in the Kokomo area, go see it in 3D. Not because the 3D was great, but the 2Ds are selling out or selling to capacity, and the 3Ds are crowded. But you could still get tickets at 6:30 last night to see the one I was going into. Whereas the 2Ds were sold out.
We got there at 5:07, and for the 6:15 movie, there were already 100 people in line.
Yeah. And
then you were able to buy your ticket, same day?
My buddy had already bought the ticket, but there was still plenty of people our theater had room in it. It was very crowded. It was very hot, but you could have got in. So that was interesting. Fans of Dale and Tucker versus Evil, the star Dale, I have to look at my thing because I don't know his name, Tyler Labine, who is, he's a comedian that's been in a lot of different things that I've enjoyed. He usually plays a sarcastic, witty character. He's now been in some like Chicago Med style hospital show, hospital procedural. I forget which one it is, but so he's been playing like a serious role, almost like something you would see. Plath. It's one of my customers. What's his name? Scott, guy from Lake Placid. Heavyset guy. He's Porthos in the Three Musketeers way back in the day.
Oliver Platt.
Oliver Platt, thank you. So I'm like almost like an Oliver Platt kind of character. Maybe I'm just thinking that because they're both heavier, funny kind of guys. But
We hit our 30-minute mark.
hey, there you go. But during an interview recently, he's come out and said that story's not over. He's on, Alan Tudyk is on, and I believe like the original director are on, to not necessarily do a sequel, but do a sequel, like a continuation. I have not seen it. I know
I haven't either.
my wife's seen it, and I heard her laughing crazy from another room while I was doing, computer stuff. So I need to see it. I don't know. Maybe it didn't have a really concise ending, but there you go. And then comic book wise, man, Marvel is just tearing it up with War of the Realms currently. Great crossover featuring Asgardian mythos and stuff coming to Earth. Everybody's involved because the Dark Elf Malekith has taken over all the realms except for Midgard, which is Earth, and they are all attacking Earth. So everybody's on board. Every single Marvel character is on board in this giant crossover. Usually they can be a little convoluted and they fall apart, but the first 2 issues of this have been great so far. Really, really good stuff. And the Splinter books that I've read all but one. One came out this week. I haven't read that one yet. Have been really good as well. So imagine the Punisher in the middle of Manhattan, and all of a sudden there are frost giants and goblins and dark elf assassins everywhere, and he's just loading up. And so it was a lot of fun. Good book. Well, we're checking out.
Did you read the, is it called Sanctuary? The storyline for DC? The,
Heroes in Crisis?
yes. The location is called Sanctuary.
Yes. I have not read it. I read the very first issue.
I know they
It didn't
revealed-
appeal to me. This week they revealed who it was. There's one issue left. The reveal of that particular character is just going to irritate fans.
I've seen a
It's
lot of backlash.
It's not good. DC really, if this last issue doesn't give us some major swerve, and this is what they're doing, they done screwed up. They really, really screwed up. That was a big mistake, I think, to do what they just did.
Well, I heard that this is kind of on the road, because I guess they're planning on yet another soft reboot to go back to pre
We'll see.
Flashpoint.
I mean, but here's my thing as a comic book fan and as a dealer, somebody who takes this very seriously. If they had just done that soft reboot, which made them killer sales, best that they'd had in years, and that was like 6 or 7 years ago now. And if they had done it for a year to 18 months and then had gone back, it would have worked. But now it's 7 or 8 years. We've got an entire generation of readers who have grown up now on this new version. And it's not like the old version when you did the soft reboot, where even from Crisis on Infinite Earths, we had like 25, 30 years of material before we rebooted again. You're talking 6 or 7 years. So all of the pre-continuity that you would go back to I don't remember it mostly now. I mean, I remember some of the characters and the things that I liked about it, and there were some characters that didn't do well in the transition. But like, who's alive, who's dead? I mean, is it a full reboot? And then they cheated it too when they did this whole rebirth thing, because even DC New 52, because like Superman went through a major change. Batman, there was no change.
That was the weird
It was
part for me.
Batman really just ended with, like, we'll say issue 675, and then issue 1 was a little bit of a, hey, let's catch you up. And then by issue 2, it was pretty much Damian Tim, all of his past, none of it got really retconned. Nothing really got tweaked. Maybe, and this gets tweaked all the time in every single comic book, maybe the timeline in which these things happened got tweaked. Like, I think they're trying to say that everything that's happened in Batman's happened in like 8 years or even less than that. Some very small amount of years to go from Dick Grayson to Tim Drake to Damian and all this other stuff that happened. I mean, he'd be having 3 adventures a night practically. It's just too much to go into. But so whereas I would love to see him go back to pre-continuity, because that's where my fandom lies, is that pre-continuity. They lost me on a lot of books. Green Arrow is my all-time favorite character, and has been since I was a child. But his take from pre-continuity to the New 52 was horrible stuff.
I was not really a fan of the New 52. That's where they kind of lost me. And then when Rebirth happened, I started paying a little more attention, but I still haven't really got.
So we'll see. Anything's possible. But yes, this particular reveal of this killer, which was a character that they had taken out of all of New 52 and didn't bring back in until Rebirth, to only have it be, oh, by the way, we haven't used him that much. You finally got this character back. For me, he is a beloved character. For a lot of other people, he is a beloved character. And they just seem to keep crapping all over this character and his legacy. It's been said for a while that Dan Diotto, who is the head of DC's publishing for the most part, for the comic books, it just doesn't like a couple of these legacy style characters.
Wasn't he the one that didn't like Nightwing?
He's been very much about Dick Grayson. He's one of the ones I was going to bring up. Basically, any character that was, raised, supported by an original character that has taken over that mantle at some point or has the potential to, he seems to be really down on these characters and treats them very, very poorly. Well, one, personal feelings. Again, this is a business. Dick Grayson is beloved. He is by far the most important and interesting Robin to a lot of people. And the fact that he grew out of Robin into his own namesake, then separated him enough that, hey, we can still keep following this character we like, and he's not Robin anymore. But yet they keep screwing with this guy. And that's what happened in Identity, Heroes in Crisis or whatever. It was just a strange little thing. So, and then next week from DC, we get Deceased, which looks like their version of like a Marvel Zombies thing. You'll have a Night of the Living Dead thing. What happens when the DC universe is overrun by zombies and it's an outbreak that can't be stopped with superpowers. And then next week we also get the DC Year of the Villains, which is a 25-cent full-size book, I believe, that will lead into what they're expecting to do for the whole year. So a lot of great stuff coming in next week. Really excited. If Avengers Endgame gets you pumped up, then get into your comic book store and start checking out some of the books that these are based on. Infinity Gauntlet's going to be by far the most important. And whereas you're going to get elements of stuff you've already seen in the movie, you're going to get so many things that aren't in the movie that you're going to be like, wait a second, the major character in Infinity Gauntlet is Adam Warlock and Thanos. And Adam Warlock, I believe, has been mentioned by the name Adam once without being seen.
It's going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and then they ended up cutting.
Okay. I think she mentions at the very end, I'm going to call whatever this thing is Adam. And you're supposed to think maybe that's Adam Warlock. And then there was talk in, I think, the first Guardians when they meet the Collector that maybe his cocoon was in there or something. So a lot of great books to check out. And some of them, even if you've seen the movies, are different enough that they are well worth checking out. I believe we're over on our time, so that means Mike's got to figure out how to make it all work, which I think he just plugs in a number anyway, and who cares. So thanks for checking out GeekStorm. We greatly appreciate it. Don't forget, Free Comic Book Day is May 4th at Comics Cubed. We'll be opening at 11 a.m., giving away hundreds of books, but at 9:30, we will start Sidewalk Sale, which is one of our most exciting and fun things of the year. So well worth checking out. And while you're down here in the heart of downtown Kokomo, don't forget to check out the finest toy store in the entire world. That's Kokomo Toys, located at 111 East Sycamore. And even if Thanos had snapped his fingers and made half the toys in the world disappear, there would have been so many left here that it still would be worth the trip. Anything to add, good sir?
I don't think so, unless you want to talk about, there's also May the 4th be with you. So the Tin Man has their Star Wars theme thing going on all day, trivia and whatnot.
I think starting at 2 o'clock in downtown Kokomo at Tin Man, which is a local brewery, but is all ages. So
Yeah, 'cause
anybody can go in.
we have restaurants across the street, so
Yeah.
you can order from those restaurants, bring over to Tin Man, eat, have a good time.
Yeah, Tin Man's an interesting thing because it's a brewery with no food, and they actively invite you to bring your food in. They have call-in sheets. They have all the local restaurants, menus and stuff that you can borrow from them for delivery. You can literally pick up food from another restaurant, bring it into their place. All they want you to do is buy their brew and check it out. But at 2 o'clock on May 4th at Tin Man, they will start an all day, I think till like 11 o'clock at night or something, Star Wars Fiesta. So it should be exciting. Giving away like a $300 tattoo from Bohemian Rhapsody to a winner of one of their contests. I know me and Kokomo Toys teamed up to give them several $100s worth of product and interesting things to give away, posters and whatnot. So check that out. So come on down to downtown Kokomo and check out Geek Street and its surrounding businesses. It's well worth your time.
Yes, it is.
Be groovy, everybody.